Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Real Collective podcast, where every week we talk about something new in the world of real estate, specifically Ottawa. With me, as always, is my co-host, Sean Tassé. I'm Brendan McKeigan, and with us today, special guest, Heather Sorgat Taylor. She is a stager extraordinaire. She's a wonderful designer. We love using her with our clients. Our clients love her services as well. So she's going to help you kind of understand the importance of staging in your home and maybe just even some design tips for yourself. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about some of the top 5 things to focus on when prepping your home for sale. So we'll get into those as well. We'll take a little break and then we'll come back and we'll wrap it up a little bit. We'll have a little more free form kind of thing where we'll just get some ideas flowing and see what's going to go on there. So Heather, thank you very much for joining us today.
Oh, yeah, very welcome. Happy to chat with you guys as usual. We chat all the time, so it's nice to actually join the podcast. So thanks for inviting me.
Right on. Yeah, I appreciate that. And Sean, you've been quiet so far. I know it's been 30 seconds. You're probably dying to talk. How's your week going?
So far, so good. Just happy to jump on and do this. And yeah, I'm excited to do this with Heather because Heather, for not for just for all of our clients, but for us personally, we've been clients of Heather. So it's we really value your opinion, your advice, and we're happy to create a space where other people get the benefit of it without some of the freebies, some of the goodies. So happy to hear it.
Right.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like one of those things that maybe as realtors that we don't think of is all too much about the staging. Sometimes we're like, you know what, you just need one chair and one couch in a room and then that's it. And because I just had Heather come through. Heather was just at our house because we're getting ready to list sometime soon. Don't know exactly when, but we wanted to get the ball rolling on it. And there was so much extra information that you only get from being on the other side of it. And it's kind of nice to see. So today we've got the top 5 things to focus on when we're getting our home ready for sale. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the first one here. We're basically number 1 is just clean your house. Get it nice and tidy.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it seems kind of a simple thing to think of, right? We clean our house, but the clean comes with all the good stuff, right? It gets a chance to really like scrub down, like walls and baseboards, and it's the little stuff, right? It's the clean feeling, it's the clean look. It brightens things up generally, because I'm asking you not to just sort of clean your floors, right? We think of clean like vacuuming and wiping counters, but I'm asking you to get inside your light bulbs and brighten up the areas. So the clean is something you can't fake clean. And so when somebody walks in and it's a clean, it always usually smells a little bit fresh too, especially wintertime when we've got puppies and kids and things like that. Our doors are closed a little bit more. So if we can clean it up, get all that sand and salt from the wintertime, especially during the wintertime, out off of our floors and boot trays and kind of all that stuff, it just, it feels really great and looks great too.
People only seem to clean their grout when they're selling their house. I remember when you were selling your house, it was like, oh yeah, it's all of those little details that you never think about when you're living there, but you're like, oh, I'm selling, now I'm gonna have white grout again for the second time in my life.
Yeah. Get out those old toothbrushes and go for it, right? Yeah. You want to get in the nooks and the crannies, because guess what? People are going to look and they're going to notice, right? cleaning up those tops of those fan blades that have been sitting up there when they've got a quarter of an inch of dust on them, and now's the time to take out those extra cobwebs out. Even the basement spaces too, right? You can't go wrong with cleaning up, even though it could be an unfinished space. But the more tidy, the more clean, get the cobwebs gone. Like, spend that time really going through it with a fine-tooth comb. It's going to make a difference for sure.
I was actually using a bottle of whiteout and just going over the grout and just dabbing it in and just drawing it nicely. Yeah. I feel like that's a really, really key move to show pride of ownership.
Yep. You can't fake clean. Can't fake white either. White's great. White looks great. So people like white. Yeah.
Well, it kind of leads us into the next one, is bright. Having a nice bright area. So part of that's cleanliness, and part of that is just light.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest tips that I give my clients is, you know, the amount of natural light that comes into a space, and our light bulbs, they play a huge factor on so many different elements. And the lighting that we have in our homes, we generally like to live with more of a yellow, like a softer yellow light. It's warmer, it's easier on the eyes, it's sort of that more ambient light. But for staging, we're kind of flipping the switch a little bit on what we sort of live with to something that's really bright, cheery, very welcoming. We want everybody to see all the nooks and crannies. We want them to be able to see that back corner of your living room where maybe we don't have light fixtures, we got lamps and stuff like that. So I'm always asking people, clean out your light bulbs, but also change your light bulbs to the brighter, whiter LED light bulbs. They cascade a ton more light, and they really show off a property. The other thing too that we don't consider is that when our photographers are taking pictures, sometimes they have to adjust the lighting a little bit. And if we have a white light that's in our light bulbs, it doesn't change the color of our paint. And so what happens when we have yellow light that's cascading through a space is that it actually will change the color of your paint to more of an aged look. And that's the opposite of what we want. We want something fresh and crisp. So the whiter light's not going to change that color palette, which is really important too. So between the light bulbs and just taking off sort of our really heavy window coverings that sort of absorb all the light, because the opposite is what we're trying to do, is show off and showcase your windows. And so I'm always encouraging, let's take off the heavy curtains and let's bring in all the natural light, because windows are a really big selling feature, and we want to show them off to the buyer so they can see them in pictures, they can see them when they're there, and just enjoy all the natural light that's coming in. So those are really, really important parts of the information that we generally give.
I've noticed even since we had our talk, which was maybe a couple of weeks ago, the number of homes I've been into that have soft white and then bright white light bulbs, I notice it tenfold now.
I know.
Yeah, and I put a comment out when a photographer friend was saying something about it. He goes, "Oh, don't even get me started." Like, you know, even the photographers are like, "We don't want to work with both color light bulbs in the same room."
And if you have them in your like, for example, a lot of people have dining room lights that have like 4 or 5 or 6 light bulbs, right? If you don't change them all to the same light bulb, you will look at your picture and be like, why are my lights so different? They really get picked up. And it's those little details that make a world of difference for people on how the house is perceived. So it's funny. Yeah. Change out your light bulbs, people. It's worth it.
Absolutely. And that kind of leads us into what you mentioned to us as well, a little bit of decluttering, which I think everybody could use at any point in time. I think everyone just has too much stuff. My garage can attest to that. Yeah, right? Just a bookcase of stuff that's there.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's not too many homes we walk into and we're like, there's enough storage. It's fine. We'll just leave it. It's not reality, right? We generally have too much stuff, but we also don't live in a staged house. Like, this is what I try to explain to my clients. Who would want to live in a staged house? Nobody. Says nobody ever. So it's not about that the way you're living is wrong. It's just that you've been living and you've been spending your life enjoying your life, and that's fabulous. So, but for what we want for staging is just a bit of a different view on the room. So we're just trying to bring back the focus to all of the awesome things that the actual rooms have. And so when we look at, maybe it's time to get rid of some of the extra stuff that's sort of been accumulating over the years, it's because we are trying to show off the important things that are actually going to help you sell the house. So we want to show off your floors. We want to show off your windows. We want to show off the space. Sometimes it's cathedral ceilings or height or whatever it is. And what happens when we declutter is that it actually is taking all of this stuff away from visually that we could be concentrating on in a picture, like we're trying to figure it out in the picture, that has nothing to do with the beautiful room that you're in. So you take that stuff out, and now all of a sudden your eyes are left with looking at the things that you're actually trying to sell. We're actually trying to show off the floors. We're trying to show off the beautiful windows. We're trying to show off the ceiling height. So decluttering it allows the room to sort of breathe visually. And that is really so important. As we know, people are buying their homes. They start from buying their homes online, right? So yeah, it's definitely time to declutter, pack, storage, and yeah, use those places like basements and garages if you can. Or some people are looking into extra storage that they may need for that short period of time to help them get the maximum value out of their house.
There's so many times when we go into a home and we're walking through it with a buyer, and the buyer gets so stuck on a thing that they have in their house, right? Oh, look at this board game, or look at this, series of Scientology books, or whatever it is, right? And they get so stuck on that. They get so stuck on that thing that they lose sight of the whole house. So the idea of decluttering, exactly like you say, is allowing the focus to be on the home as opposed to on the things.
Yeah, 100%. I'd say that people are like little squirrels in their attention span, and so when you have nothing left to kind of pull their eyes because they're trying to figure out, what color, what kind of pattern is on their shower curtain, and they're so engulfed in trying to figure out the shower curtain, they haven't even looked at the bathroom. And so, and it could be a fabulous bathroom. So, you take away sort of the visual clutter, and that could be decluttering, that could be removing heavy pattern. It can mean a whole bunch of things. But yeah, when you visually kind of make spaces a little bit more serene, yeah, exactly. Your eyes go back to the things that we're really trying in essence to sell.
Absolutely.
That seems like a good reason of why I took down all my Little League trophies from around the house. I was really impressed with them, and I think other people would be too, so I wanted to show them off. But I do get amazed at how many people think that. Or like, well, I want to show this thing off. I want people to know that, like, when they come to this house, that, hey, the person who lives here did something. You're like, well, they're going to be impressed by you. They want to be impressed by the house and, how well you took care of it. And if you have a world's best house trophy, then sure, put that out. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and understanding too a little bit about and working with thousands of clients and seeing thousands of pictures is that you realize what photographs really well and what doesn't. And so when I'm counseling clients on the stuff that gets to stay in their house, it usually is stuff that's larger, streamlined, more impactful, that when a photographer takes their picture and they have to use their big wide angle lens to sort of capture the whole space, right? Because that's what their job is to do, is that the stuff that gets to stay doesn't look sort of small, and you sort of lose the small stuff. So a nice big tall vase, or something like a stack of books that's streamlined, that stuff will, no matter how they kind of scratch the photo lens, will still stay as it is. And those are really important things to kind of teach people as we go, because again, we're starting with the photography. And so those are the kind of tips that we can sort of help them with, sort of figuring out how to reuse their stuff in the best possible way.
Seems very helpful, as well as I have questions about this one. This is number 4, and we're talking about curb appeal, but also obviously curb appeal is important, but what can we do in, say, the middle of February or March when a house is covered in snow to increase curb appeal?
Well, I think you still want to, there's a couple of things. One is, if we had potentially a little bit of foresight that we would be selling, coming in the wintertime months, maybe you have some pictures from the summertime that you have taken that kind of show off, interlock, or, beautiful patios, and sort of the investment that you have made in your front and backyards, because a lot of people have spent lovely money and they're all sort of covered up with the snow, right? So those would be great to give you guys, if we can. Having a well shoveled walkways and patios and things like that, to let people sort of see what's under the snow if they can. We say be seasonally relevant to your pictures, because if you're selling something in the middle of February, somebody's not going to expect you to have your patio furniture with your cushions set up in the backyard. And if they are, then God love them, right? Like they've gone to a lot of work. But I think that it's about just clearing things off. One of the things that I say it's really important is just to make sure everybody's really safe. So with freezing rain and snow, get everything shoveled, sanded, salted, right? But then if you can clean those front windows, clean your front doors, get those light fixtures on the front patios on your front porches, get them all cleaned up too. You know, maybe even paint your front door if it allows you to, right? If you can like keep the door open inside the house if it needs a fresh up. You know, all those little things from again, it's coming back to this maintenance to the house. Those all sort of play into consideration. But you know, if we've got a full blanket of snow, sometimes it is really quite pretty, but it's a little bit more challenging, obviously, in the wintertime.
Seen, and my neighbors have these really neat things that they put a whole bunch of like sticks and branches and stuff in, like these big vases, these big exterior vases, and they look really nice in terms of like coming up the steps. We don't have anything that nice. My son just brings home sticks, so we've just got sticks right outside our front door. So, and there's some shovels.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely, I would definitely say it's time to take down the Christmas lights now, right? That it's time to take down your Christmas. And if you've got larger planters that are still outside that are, you know, you had kind of Christmas stuff in, but maybe you still have just some of the white birch logs or something in them, though birch logs could stay, but take out the rest of the Christmas stuff, right? Take out the sparklies and the cranberries and kind of all that stuff. You could definitely keep that sort of thing outside and just switch them out to kind of make them Christmas. And then as soon as we get into spring, then that's when we can really start playing with sort of the curb appeal and planters and flowers and all the stuff that really, because really curb appeal is just creating a really beautiful kind of a welcome feeling to people. So anything that you can do that you feel is going to sort of really help that's exactly what we want to do.
Perfect. We've got one more that we're going to talk about, and this can either go either way, because I've definitely experienced both, even with COVID. But smell in a house. I have had people who overdo it on the Febreze, and then you have people who have never heard of cleaning. So
Deodorant.
yeah, for that. Yeah, and it just lingers. So how important do you think that is to you in going into a home and getting the right smell or no smell at all? Like what's maybe better?
Yeah. So what I counsel the clients on a lot of times is I say, okay, so when you're walking into a house for the very first time, pretend you are the buyer, right? Let's put ourselves in the buyer's shoes. Your spidey senses, they are a tingling because they have never been there before, and they've got a heightened sense of sound. They're like, okay, what is that? Can I hear street noise? Is there a train going by? Like, you know, where am I in the neighborhood? Oh, it's nice and quiet. Great. You know, what am I seeing? Am I seeing, you know, a beautiful presentation, or what's the house sort of like, right? They're taking in all those sights. They're approaching windows. They're looking outside. They want to see where they are in the house. They've never been there before. But the other thing too that they're also considering is smell. And smell is can either be a really big turnoff, and it comes in a variety of things. Number one, as I say to people, is please remove your Glade plugins, your aerosol sprays, your Febrezes, and things like that. There are people who have allergies to perfume. And guess what? As soon as they sort of have that sort of a smell, they're going to have to leave your house because they're actually having an allergic reaction. So let's take those out of there, right? There's also odors of like, you know, cat and dog and, you know, those other various smells that are really quite, can be really quite overpowering. So your best air, as I always say, is fresh air. If you can open up those windows, please do. Let the fresh air in. You do not want to cover stuff up. The Glade plugins and that kind of stuff are masking something. And then people are saying, is that mold that I smell in the basement? I can't smell it because it smells like, you know, some sort of like cinnamon candle that's been like on overpower because they're trying to, right? They're trying to cover something up. So there's just generally nothing good that comes from the overpowering of scents. And so, you know, if there are things like smoke, if there are things like urine from cats, like, you know, there's animals, there's accidents and stuff like that. There's ways that we can take care of it with professionals, with cleaning, with all that kind of stuff that can make a massive difference. But don't do the plugins and stuff like that. It's going to cause more questions, and potentially you're going to lose clients because they just can't stay in the house.
I think of two things. The first thing that comes to mind is no sense makes good sense, right? Mm-hmm. Or whatever that saying is, the one from the hospital. And the other thing that comes to mind is when I very first got into real estate, they always told us, oh, when you're doing an open house, take a piece of like a vanilla extract and just put it on your finger and then rub it on the light in the oven. And just turn the oven on and let that linger, because vanilla is so inviting. And I'm just like, go to the house early and bake cookies. I'm like, nobody's baking cookies, but this is what they teach you in realtor school back when it started. So
yeah,
I get asked that all the time. I think it's an old sort of fashioned thought. Now, I mean, honestly, if somebody was to bake a fresh loaf of bread, or if it was, some fresh oatmeal cookies or something, then you know what? Absolutely. As long as it's natural, right? Just think of it as being a natural, relatively kind of not sort of invasive smell. And so I remind people too, right before you have an open house or somebody's walking in the house, don't clean your stove, because it's going to stink like, all can be. I made that mistake many years ago. So lessons learned, but, and like, don't, maybe cook with something that's your favorite curry dish, like right before somebody's walking in too. Right. So we're really sensitive to smell, even through the mask. We're still sensitive to it. So it's good. It's good practice. Like Sean said, no sense makes good sense.
Perfect. I like it. We're going to take a quick break after that, let you guys digest that. Here's a word from one of our sponsors. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video on YouTube. And then also follow us on Apple Podcasts and as well as Spotify. So you can listen to us there. Put this on in the background, tell your friends, and we will be right back.
This episode of the Real Collective podcast is brought to you by Real Collective. Real Collective brings together best-in-class real estate agents and collective experts in the field to deliver the best possible service to our clients. We govern ourselves with honesty, open-mindedness, and compassion. With diverse skill sets, our agents are able to serve a wide array of clients, including first-time homebuyers, first-time sellers, transferees, estate sales, investors, and rural, vacation, and luxury properties. Authenticity and transparency are pillars of our process, which allow us to put our clients at the center of everything that we do. Our years of experience and knowledge allow us to deliver prestigious service and optimal results. If you're interested in buying or selling your home, contact us today at realcollective.ca.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Real Collective podcast. Again, if you're having a good time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We are going to jump into it now with Heather, our lovely staging consultant, stylist to homes near and far. Heather, what is it that brought you to the world of staging?
Oh, that's a good question. I was just generally interested in houses. I was obsessed with everything that had to do with color, pattern, texture, all that kind of stuff. But I was really interested in what a little bit of elbow grease, some hard work, and a little bit of creativity could do when it came to selling a house. So I started flipping my own houses starting in 2002. And I immediately thought, wow, I could take the worst house on the block, which I think I did a couple of times, and with a lot of paint, a little bit of updates here and there, not a ton of money, really affordable and economical way that I could really change the way a house was perceived. And so it really interested me on, this is something that I could do. And then 20 years later, with a background in business insurance and marketing and selling insurance across Ontario, actually, I decided, you know what, I'm going to meld my two things that I love the most, which is people. I absolutely love people. I love conversing with people. I love being with people and their challenges on what does it take to sort of get a house ready with the least amount of money. And sort of get that sort of biggest result, right? And so that challenge it melded, and it's been 7 years of just it just being the best decision I ever made.
I want to rewind you back to high school, and for you to share the high school report that you showed to me that was like, and your teacher said, "Oh wow, look at this." So fill everybody in about what you did and how you've been this person your whole life, even if you weren't in this career.
Yeah. So I found an old grade, I think it was grade 12 project that I took a course back in high school that was an elective, and it was just all about house design and interior design and all this kind of stuff. But I'd had my heart set I was going to be a French geography teacher, so I didn't pay any attention. I probably should have, but I got this A++ on this project, and it was just I was so interested in sort of putting these rooms together and what the outcome could be, why exactly what, like mixing these patterns and these crazy ideas and putting it all together and coming out with kind of a beautiful result. So yeah, I think it was kind of if I had paid attention, maybe I could have gotten into this a little bit sooner than 7 years ago.
I tell you one thing that you're able to do that it's been hard to find someone who's able to do is to be able to see what a place is going to look like before it looks like that, and to understand what the different colors and even the different tones of colors are. Because like, we're guys, right? So there's 8 colors. They came in a Crayola box when we were kids, the end. But there's so many different whites, and you can even pinpoint, okay, well, your subtones are browns and grays, so the whites need to be this kind of white. Like it's, and to be able to put all of the pieces together and say, yeah, this is gonna all work together. When we did my house, I looked through and I'm like, oh man, this is all gonna be yellow and purple. This is gonna look ridiculous. And it doesn't. It looks perfect. And so to see all of those things and to have the whole thing built in your mind before is something that has really benefited a lot of our clients.
Yeah, I can say to this day, I haven't met a house yet that I haven't been able to figure out. There's just some building blocks that we use that just, and like I said, a little bit of creativity. Sometimes we have to sit a little bit longer with something, but when you think of it as being the more that you can make things feel purposeful, the more that you can have color continuity, the more that when you start something, you should keep it going, because now the house is going to feel like it belongs together. There's so many little things that make up a successful house. But yeah, we're really fortunate to have those tools to help all the clients with it, and we love it.
Yeah, and I'm one of those people that I know around here we end up having to move the furniture around the room 19 times before we can decide where we want it to go, because sometimes that foresight isn't there. So to be able to have that is definitely beneficial for anybody who needs it or needs that outside point of view. That's super handy. And like I said, we're talking about what the market is now. What are you finding with people who are like, well, what's the market so hot right now? People are buying whatever. Why do I need a stager?
Yeah, that I get asked that question a lot actually right now, and people are sort of surprised when they say, like, "Are you busy?" And it's like, "Yeah, we're swamped." I think the reality is that we don't know right now, especially in the Ottawa marketplace, what the ceiling is to what a buyer is willing to spend. And if you are going to say, and not do anything to the home, which, is everybody's prerogative, that's fine. But if you're willing to take maybe 4 offers on a home that hasn't had anything done to it, or if you're willing to accept sort of the understanding where I'm going to say to you, okay, it might take, maybe let's just say on worst case scenario, it might take $7,000 to $10,000 to get your house ready. And that means because maybe we are going to switch out some of those old light fixtures. Maybe we are going to look at maybe redoing some flooring. Maybe it is going to be getting some appliances, whatever it is. Okay. That $10,000 could result in $100,000. It could result in $200,000. There really is no ceiling in so that staging right now is sort of that when your house is prepared and now you have 14, 16, 18 offers on a house instead of 4, what do you think is going to happen to that value of the house? It's only going to increase. And so that is where our professional advice can really come in, because we're going to tell you where to invest, the best return on your investment, because we're not going to tell you, yeah, you need to replace your basement ceiling tiles because that's what's going to get you the money. I'm going to tell you exactly where the important parts of the house are, where you're going to spend the money, and then we're going to stage it so that it, it just feels super functional to people, and that function and the visual effect of everything, and it feeling neat, tidy, clean, bright, decluttered, all of those steps that we've taken so far. Again, our clients are seeing massive returns on their investment, and it's really been super beneficial to everybody who's invested in the staging process right now.
Well, and I'll tell you a similar story. And we just worked on a project. I guess it was a couple of months ago, in one of the hottest sellers markets in Ottawa, where the property was sitting and it was stagnant and it wasn't selling, and it couldn't sell, and it wasn't getting any offers. It did get one offer. It was well under the list price. It was a different agent, and it was a different stager. And I took over the listing. We brought you in. The client was like, "Oh no, it's already staged. We don't have to worry about staging." I said, No. Please just listen and let us do our thing. And we did. And ultimately, we sold the house for, I think it's like $130,000 more than the best offer that this person had got before. So, I mean, you talk about $100,000+ difference by taking this piece of the process and following along with it. It just means more money in someone's pocket. And this house was sitting on the market for 3-4 months, and nobody came along and bought it until it looked right.
Yeah, looked right, felt right. And a lot of it has to do with how are we going to use our houses, right? And so hopefully, as when you have a stager, they're going to really kind of try to, I call myself the bridge. I'm the bridge between what the new buyer is thinking, how they want to use the house, and the bridge to the way that the house is being shown right now. And so if we need to tweak a little bit to kind of get the people into the house, and that could be moving your things around a little bit, it could be changing a few things out. If we can connect them to that bridge, boy, the success we've had is pretty awesome.
I think I just figured out a new nickname for you. Heather the Bridge Sorgat.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of seems like getting your house ready to stage is kind of like, or not staging in this market is kind of like going on a date in a tracksuit and just being like, what? Like, she already said yes. She said yes to the date. Like, what's the matter? Like, just present yourself well. Take some pride in how you look. And just,
I like that.
Yeah. Wearing a tracksuit on a date, which, I mean, hey, there's a time and place for everything, and that might be a second date. Maybe you have a tracksuit date. Who knows? Anyway, that's a whole different podcast episode. Heather, where's the best place that everyone can get a hold of you if they want to talk to you about any of your services besides staging or anything interior design-wise, decor-wise? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can definitely reach me through Sean or Brendan, because we definitely work together. My company is Restyled Spaces and Home Staging Company. You can find me on the web. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram, and telephone number, email, all that kind of stuff. We will get that for you, but it's Restyled Spaces and Home Staging Company.
Perfect. She's also on the realcollective.ca webpage under our partners. So take a look under there, and you can link right over to her page and take a look. Heather, if somebody bought a house and they have no idea what to do as far as furniture goes, would they be able to call you about that?
Yes. Yeah. We often get called back to help clients after we've staged their place to work with them in their new homes. So that's definitely something that we could definitely assist them with, give them counsel on furniture placement, on what kind of furniture that they would need, scale of furniture, style, color, all that kind of stuff, and some project management and renovations if they need it. We can go that far as well. So yeah, we're kind of a one-stop shop for all of your house sort of needs.
Perfect.
The other thing, sorry, Brendan, to cut you off. The other thing you can do, Heather, and I know, and maybe people might not know this, is you've got discounts all across the city at different furniture stores or different housing supply stores, different design stores. Not just going to Home Depot, but going to the tile shop, right? Or going to these different shops. You've created relationships, and you transfer those benefits over to your clients. So it's not a, hey, I'm going to keep that 10% to myself, right? It's all about client service. So that's one of the reasons why we love being aligned with you. So thanks.
Yeah, no, thank you. And that's just a benefit, I think, of working with a professional like ourselves that, you know, can provide, especially, you know, just even the cost of paint. You know, if you can get we can get some discounts from the cost of for repainting, we can do that for you as well. So yeah, that's all definitely all the things that we can offer the clients. Absolutely, and we'd love to.
Awesome.
Perfect. Well, guys, check her out. Check out her, and then obviously her partners after that. So if you're having a good time and you like the podcast, if you like this episode, like, subscribe, and share it with everybody. Let it run in the background on YouTube while you're doing some other work. Download us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And this is Brendan McKeigan, Sean Tassé, and Heather Sorgat. We will see you next time. Until then, keep it real.
Collective.